I'm going to get a lot of these wrong today. That's right, I'm being honest with you right out of the gate. But every now and then we sit down and we do try and predict who is going to become the next WWE champion. I mean that with all the belts. Who is going to beat Cody Rhodes? Who is going to beat CM Punk? Who is going to beat Jade Cargill? I suppose, say whatever you want about WWE at the moment, I think it's actually quite hard to figure out who the next person could be, which also may tie into the fact that WWE may have changed their mind a lot pre-WrestleMania. But my name is Simon Miller. Thank you for joining me. I'm a bald idiot. We talk about wrestling every single day because why wouldn't we do that? Like, share, and subscribe, and get involved. I would appreciate it. Let's hit 1 million subscribers. Don't know why I said that, but why can't that be an aim? I'm an idiot. Let's go. So we'll start with the big one, which is the World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, CM Punk is a champion right now. We did a video a week or so ago where I said I think he's the best champion in WWE at the moment. I stand by that. I just think he makes feuds feel important. And when he has a microphone in his hand, he can make me believe like I am an absolute fool. And I think the next champion is going to be Roman Reigns. That's right. At WrestleMania, I think Roman is going to win. Now, actually, if I had the pen to talk like an absolute geek, I think I'd keep it on CM Punk and maybe give a little bit of extra edge, I suppose, to Punk, although he's got a lot of edge, not Adam Copeland. He went to AEW. But the reason I'm going for Roman Reigns is because if we go back to the last 3 WrestleManias, Roman Reigns has not won. Of course, he lost at WrestleMania 40 to Cody Rhodes. He lost at WrestleMania 41 because he was in that 3-way where... Did Seth Rollins pin him or did he pin Punk? I'm pretty sure Seth Rollins pinned Roman Reigns. Either way, it doesn't matter, right? He wasn't victorious. Actually, I made a lie there because he did win at WrestleMania 39 because, of course, he beat Cody Rhodes. But still, the last 2 WrestleManias, 41 and 40, he has not won. And Roman Reigns is still a massive deal and a massive star as he should be in WWE. The only issue there is that usually post-WrestleMania, Roman Reigns goes away, and you do not want to do that. You do not want to fall back into Brock Lesnar, what was it, 2016, 2019 territory? I can't remember. But when he was never there, even when Roman sort of began his part-time schedule, when he was in the midst of his 1,316-day title reign, it was a criticism thrown at him. I've always said if wrestlers can get time off, I think they've earned it, right? Especially we get to the period in his career where Roman did. I think there's going to be a twist here. I would say one of them would turn heel, but I think actually that may be reserved for the Cody Rhodes stuff down the line. So you don't want to do it too quickly. And also, I suppose if you want to get more out of Punk versus Roman, if Punk just wins, that feud is dead. And I can't believe that given it is such a marquee match that WWE wouldn't want it to continue. And I know WrestleMania is meant to be the blow-off for feuds, but I honestly do not mind it being the starter program either, because post-WrestleMania, sometimes WWE can be quite dull, because again, you have all this hoopla, all this happenstance that goes into a weekend, then you get to Raw and it's like, oh my gosh, we've got to come up with some new stuff. And given that I am going to continue to watch past WrestleMania, if there can be some interest that is created at the shows, I don't mind it. Of course, when we get closer to WrestleMania 42, I'll sit down and predict this properly. I think Roman Reigns is going to win. Am I confident? No. Do I mind if Roman Reigns loses? No. I think Roman Reigns is such a big star now. He doesn't even need the title. But there's been so much craziness on this road to WrestleMania. I can't believe that Roman hasn't had a little bit of a say in it. And Punk has said before, he thinks in his career it's actually more interesting if he does lose because it puts him in a very interesting situation. I don't know, man, but I'm going with Roman. And we will fly down to the other end of the card, which is the US Women's Championship, the poor US Women's Championship, as I'm now going to call it. Julia is kind of focusing on tag team wrestling at the moment with Kiana James, and Julia can't even win matches there either. I'm going to hold out hope that we get this right. People keep saying, well, quite clearly, WWE sees Kiana James as the star of the team. They can both be stars. This whole Rockers idea needs to go away. We still get that, oh, Shawn Michaels became this massive star and Marty Jannetty just fell into the toilet. No, he didn't. Marty Jannetty was getting a pretty good push at one point, but he had issues outside of wrestling that totally derailed his career. It wasn't like WWE just went nope and flicked him out of the door. A lot of it was self-inflicted. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, but I think Julia can still get to where she needs to be. And I've come up with a crazy one here, which actually ties into the women's tag team titles. But you would be able to hazard a guess, I suppose, that maybe Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair could be the next winners of those. But no, I am still advocating hard, and we still have enough time before WrestleMania that Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss can fall out. And if you want to continue that feud through WrestleMania as well, I think, I'm just making stuff up here, of course, but you could have Alexa Bliss beat Charlotte Flair after she turns heel on her at some point at WrestleMania, and then have Alexa Bliss beat Julia for that US Championship, and then you can have Charlotte and Alexa feuding over that belt. I think that could be pretty good, because again, Charlotte is a super duper whooper megastar, and much like Becky Lynch being involved in the women's IC title, I think that would help that belt, and trust me, of all the belts in WWE, it needs all the help in the world. And Alexa Bliss with the championship, I think is long overdue. I think in many ways Alexa Bliss is underrated. She just really understands her a character. And I always go back to some of her heel work from before. She was getting some real heat from the fans. Maybe it'd be harder today because she does have a lot of legacy love. But I am going to give him, at the moment, you could pull any name out of a hat. You could say Michin, you could say B-Fab, you could say anybody. I'm going to say Alexa Bliss because I'm hoping that we can take the Women's US Championship and put it in a better position. And you do that with stars. Charlotte Flair, obviously a massive star. Alexa Bliss, a massive star. And they have an emotional feud. And 9 times out of 10, when you do actually have a program that's not about a championship, but then you could also add a championship into it, that helps the belt. And this really, really is an occasion where it's not actually about who holds that championship. It's about making that championship mean something. So, and out of nowhere, Paul. But again, you could say, I'm trying to think of someone from the past. Trish Stratus could be. That's honestly has as much worth, as much sense to it as anybody else right now. Because Julia may come out with that belt, but we barely even talk about it. Now, of course, there is a caveat to this one as well, which is Io Sky. Now, Io Sky does make more sense. But at the moment, we just had this big breakup with Rhea Ripley going to SmackDown, and Io most definitely not. And she came out of that office all like, bleh. And I kind of felt like she was going to be tied into the IC title program before she gets the US title. Because, of course, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria were talking about that, and then they threw Io Sky into the mix. So we could be doing a multi-person match at WrestleMania. It will be one or the other. It all depends if we're going to move Io Sky across. And of course, WWE can't do that right now because they made a big deal out of the whole Rhea Ripley and Io Sky friends no more. Doesn't mean you can't do it soon, but maybe it's not going to be as soon as we think. Or maybe Julia is going to lose the belt and then go to Raw, right? And maybe that's how you do the IC Championship there instead. I don't think it needs to be for that US title. So it probably is going to be Io Sky. I completely stumble over my words. But I don't know. I just think if Charlotte and Alexa are going to have this feud at WrestleMania, I could be totally wrong. They could just be in a women's tag team match. Then I look stupid. I just think there's something to it. And we'll talk about the men's Intercontinental Championship as well. Of course, recently won by Penta, which makes this very interesting. I actually think Dominic Mysterio will win it back, and then I think Finn Balor will beat it from him. Or we do a multi-person at WrestleMania, much like we did last year, but Finn Balor will win it. The ultimate point is either you give it to Penta via Dominic and Finn can win, or we get to this 4-way and Finn can win it that way. So really, I suppose my answer is Finn Balor, because I guess keeping it on Penta right now is easier to get them all on WrestleMania because we are running out of slots given all the other feuds WWE does have going on. And maybe JD McDonough could even be the other guy. Like if you want to break up the Judgment Day, I think having a bit of friction between JD and Dom and Finn Balor as well and throwing Penta in there, and it does kind of tie into the story. I'm sure there's somebody else that I'm forgetting right now. But that 4-way that we did with, it was Bron Breakker, it was Penta, it was Dominic Mysterio, I can't remember the fourth guy, so more fool me. But that was actually quite entertaining, and while we would be doing a copy and paste job here, ever since Dominic won the IC title, I don't think we capitalised it on the way that we should have done. I mean, essentially, he did just take on a bunch of shapes, right? He took on Penta, they took on Hexagon. What was his name? I can't remember. Just name a shape and you'll get there eventually. I will say Finn Balor. I actually prefer that idea. I've talked myself out of it. I think do a 4-way at WrestleMania and then Penta doesn't have to get pinned. I protect Penta as much as possible because one, it's like a tongue teaser, but also I just don't think he gets the love and the credit he does deserve. He should be high up the card. At one stage, he should have a world title match on TV. We've talked about this before. So I'm going to go with Finn Balor. He will be the next IG champion. It will break up the Judgment Day and then we start Finn Balor's babyface push, which is long overdue. So just get it done. Women's tag titles, going back to everything that we just said, obviously Lash Legend and Nia Jax are the champions right now. I think it probably will be Julia and Kiana James. Again, it really is the US title hanging over the top of this. Because if Io Sky, repeating myself now, but if she does jump over to SmackDown before that, absolutely, I'm totally wrong, pull the trigger. And obviously Kiana James will have to do something different. And there are some good women's tag teams right now, but it's just the Kabuki Warriors had their run. Obviously Charlotte and Alexa had their run. So I kind of just think with the other people that have been in that limelight, it is Julia and Kiana James. And once again, if WWE does want to push Kiana James, this allows her to be a champion, gives her more mic time without pushing her too soon into a position where there may not actually be an opportunity to begin with. As always, if it could be the Kabuki Warriors, I would do the Dance of Joy. But someone mentioned to me the other day, don't you think it's going to be Asuka versus Kairi Sane at WrestleMania? I was like, of course it is. You don't carry on that storyline of emotional manipulation without sort of paying it off at WrestleMania. How that never came into my brain, I don't know. I suppose I thought Kairi Sane was just going to be under the thumb forever. But given that we have made Julia and Kiana James a tag team, I mean, it makes the US title thing so messy, but I just don't think WWE cares Once again, it could be a multi-person match which gets away from this heel versus heel thing, which is what this match would be, but it also allows Julia and Kiana James to pin somebody else to win the championships. Just let's make sure we continue on this momentum. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley did a great job. I really think it's a great division when you do invest a lot of time into it. They've never dropped the ball. The only time it becomes ridiculous is when WWE forgets they can book women's tag team championships. I'm going with Kiana versus Julia. Otherwise, I don't know why you would have put them together as a tag team to begin with. Once again, it absolutely benefits Kiana James. Let us move over to the Women's Raw Championships, currently held by Stephanie Vicaire. I think this one should be nice and simple, and I think Liv Morgan should win. Obviously, she's the heel of the piece, so it means you can carry on that feud as well. We already talked about the benefit of coming out of WrestleMania with stories ready to go, but I just think Stephanie's reign has been like a lot of reigns ever since she won it. There hasn't been one defining match, one defining program. WWE's been a bit wishy-washy with it, although she was injured, so you've got to give them that caveat too. But Liv Morgan winning the Royal Rumble and going on to WrestleMania to win that belt, and once again, sort of getting into it knee-deep with Stephanie Vicaire is just the right thing to do. It's always important, or good I should say, there's always a positive for the Royal Rumble going on to become a champion, because next year you can sell that hard. But given that she has just come back from injury, and again, I actually think it would benefit Stephanie Vicaire to lose this and go on the chase again, I think you have to give it to Liv Morgan. Could also tie into the complete eruption of the Judgment Day, and she could be like, ha, I told you I didn't need those fools. And also, depending on what you do, maybe Raquel can be an opponent for her, or Roxanne Perez, although, of course, maybe one of them sticks with Liv. I'm going to see potentially, actually, it could be either. I could see Roxanne Perez sticking with her because there's a dynamic there. But of course, if you keep Raquel with her, then you have the big powerhouse standing in the background. But we've already kind of teased they don't like each other. But either way, Liv Morgan should beat Stephanie Vicaire, and she should absolutely be the next Raw Women's Champion. Intercontinental title for the women, just won by AJ Lee. Another simple one. Another AJ Lee's about to do a bunch of matches with people on the roster. And of course, you had Ivy Nile talking about it. You had Bayley talking about it. You had Lyra talking about it. You had Io Sky talking about it. But I still think eventually she's going to get to WrestleMania and Becky Lynch is going to beat her. Now, maybe there's some hot potatoing in the middle and I'll look like a fool. But the only person I would really advocate that for, well, there's a couple. I'd love it to be Bayley and I'd love it to be Io Sky. But either of those people shouldn't be winning it before WrestleMania and then losing it at WrestleMania. And I really do think Becky Lynch is going to be the next person. I also don't think AJ Lee's going to have too many matches. I mean, maybe 3, although once again, arguably, maybe you do a number 1 contender match instead. So you could do like Lyra versus Bayley versus Io versus Ivy Nile. I don't think anybody else talked about it. Raquel did actually, because Raquel and Liv had that conversation. So maybe you could do a big crazy 5-way and the winner of that takes on AJ Lee. But you know, push comes to shove, I still think the reason that AJ Lee won it in Chicago in front of her sort of hometown is that she can have a couple of matches, sort of cement herself as a champion. Becky Lynch then wins it back, and then, listen, if Io Sky is going to be sticking around, let's just do Io Sky versus Becky Lynch and get that done. Or you could do Bayley versus Becky Lynch. That would be interesting, because we never really touched upon that, although you could also argue we did in 2025. We don't need to retread our steps. But I said this a while ago, and I think I will stick to my guns. Let me just go through my superstar Rolodex to make sure I'm 100% with this. I'm about 72%. I just think Becky Lynch has been off the show for a reason. When she does come back and go, ha, I am taking you on. And there's got to be some heel champions walking out of WrestleMania, so that's the good one that you can do. But let's make sure we have plenty of stories planned after it as well. This time last year, I thought the Women's Intercontinental title was on fire. Maybe it's lost its way a little bit in the start of 2026, but you can get it back. And you could probably do a stipulation match between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch too, which would help, especially if we are going to super pack WrestleMania this year. Going with Becky Lynch, the more I say it, the more I'm not sure. Men's US title is kind of hard, kind of easy, because there are a lot of people gunning for it. I think WWE may do a copy and paste job there and do a multi-man at WrestleMania too, but I think it probably needs to go back to Ilya Dragunov, right? He's been not even the thorn in Carmelo's side, but he has been the person that Carmelo keeps bringing up. Every time someone talks to Ilya about it, he's like, I must earn the opportunity. Otherwise, what would my mother think of me? I would love it to be a Kit Wilson down the line, maybe. It could be a Miz, it could be a Danhausen. They could be thrown in there, given that they are kind of skirting about. It just feels to me like it could even become a best of 7 without saying it's a best of 7. I just can't believe that Ilya keeps talking about this and Kamala Hayes keeps saying, hey, Ilya Dragunov, do you want a shot without doing it? And the open challenges have to come to an end eventually, although the moment they are doing the job. It's kind of weird. Like, Carmelo's done such a good job with that championship, but he doesn't necessarily have an abundance of serious contenders to deal with outside of Ilya Dragunov. So maybe that's why we need to take the mask off the likes of Chad Gable, take the mask off Ludwig Kaiser, although they're more Raw guys. But either way, I will go with Ilya Dragunov, and I don't even think he needs to hold it for that long either. You could even hot potato it back to Carmelo Hayes. I think this can be seen as a TV title, especially if you are putting it on workhorses. Then there's a bunch of other people we could bring into this too. Johnny Gargano is totally lost. But I will say Ilya wins it first. And it's a little bit boring because, of course, he was the champion before. But I can just see them doing that because, again, they're going to have great matches and you can elongate that too. I'm going with the Dragon. Now, the men's Raw tag team scene, as I've told you 1,000 times, ain't in the best place ever. I love the Usos having it because the Usos are a fantastic tag team, but there are no contenders, right? You can't go back to the War Raiders, you can't go back to the Creeds. The New Day, obviously Xavier Woods is injured, but even then, they had sort of been lost in the shuffle a little bit as well. We really need to hit a reset on this. And of course, I'm going to say every single time, try and manifest it into existence. I would merge them with the SmackDown tag team titles and go from there. But actually, I think this one is quite easy to predict. I think it should be the Vision. Now, whether that's Logan Paul and Austin Theory, well, it would be now because Bronson Reed got injured. As I said that, I was like, wait a minute, we can't do that anymore. So yes, I mean, it all depends what happens with Seth Rollins, and that could derail this a little bit. I still think WWE is keeping everything crossed that Bron Breakker will have some amazing recovery. And maybe he will. He is an absolute monster. But even then, I think you probably need to do this to save the Vision, which has absolutely been railroaded by injuries. But they're already feuding with them, right? Austin Theory and Logan Paul keep getting involved with the Usos. The Usos need something to do. You either do it on WrestleMania or you do it around WrestleMania. Let's not forget that either. You could absolutely do Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins on Mania. And on the SmackDown before, the Raw afterwards, that's when the Vision also won the tag titles. How many times have WWE done that before? But there are no other candidates. And I also think it's actually beneficial to the Vision to actually have some belts, because at the moment they're just totally waylaid. They probably need some more people too. Maybe call Ethan Page up and throw him in there as the leader as well, because Ethan Page is brilliant. But this one feels quite set in stone for me, so now like a fool when I get it wrong. But I think the Vision will be the next Raw Tag Team Champions. Given what happened on SmackDown recently too, I think Damian Priest and R-Truth are going to win the SmackDown tag team titles. What was I going to call them? The Priest Truth or the Truth Priest or something like that. It will definitely be something like that in WWE. But the MFTs currently hold the titles. They're of course feuding with the Wyatts in the feud that's never going to end. Much like what happened in that gauntlet match, the Wyatts can come out, they can cause interference, and that allows Damian Priest and R-Truth to win. Totally out of nowhere, totally random. No idea what's going to happen with the Machine Guns or Fraxium or the Gazas, who randomly came back on TV. But I love Damian Priest, I love R-Truth. I don't think you need to throw them together and have them win a number one contender match and then not win the titles. It's also another division that needs an absolute kick up the tuchus. Once again, we should merge these. Then you could do the Vision versus R-Truth and Damian Priest. Or you could do the Usos versus R-Truth and Damian Priest, which would be super interesting. And then obviously you could work in the Machine Guns to take on the Usos. Why aren't we doing these matches? It's totally crazy. This one feels pretty cut and dry. I cannot believe WWE went, should we put Truth and Priest together and then not have them win the titles? That is backwards booking. I'm going with these two, and I'm pretty confident, which means I'm not confident at all. When it comes to the SmackDown Women's Championship as well, I really think Rhea Ripley should win at WrestleMania. Something against Jade Cargill. I like Jade. I think Jade gets some really horrible things thrown at her. But it's the same thing that I'm going to keep repeating here following WrestleMania last year. I just don't think WWE capitalized on that title with Tiffany Stratton. I mean, really, Jade Cargill was the only feud she did do. And then Jade she didn't defend the belt in like 100 days. Back in the day, if you had done that, you got the belt taken off you. You had to relinquish it. Poor Steve Austin was always having the belt pulled off of him. So I think you get to WrestleMania and you just do the WrestleMania thing. Jade Cargill's meant to be the bad guy. Rhea Ripley is meant to be the good guy. Rhea is one of the most popular people in the company, whether you like that or not. She should win. Big old pop, and then we move on to something else. You could probably even do a rematch between her and Jade Cargill at some point. But I also don't think you move Rhea Ripley to SmackDown and not use the star power she does have. I think that's a little bit of a silly decision, to be completely honest. I think the match will be better than people are giving it credit for. I don't think it needs to go long. I think sometimes having a short match on WrestleMania is really important too. But Rhea Ripley should win. She just should, and then we really need to get into some feuds here. We really need to send some sort of badass heels to take her on, and not just have her meander. And again, that is not on the person that has the title before. You can only do the booking that you are given. But once again, just to repeat myself, because Rhea Ripley is a big star, let's utilize that, turn this belt into something to mean something. Which brings us to the WWE title, and really, the question right now is Cody Rhodes walking out of WrestleMania with the title, or is it Randy Orton? And it would be mad for Randy Orton to walk out with the title, right? Because it means Cody Rhodes would have been a champion for 6 weeks. And that is 2 relatively short championship reigns for WWE, who love keeping the world title on people for a long old time. I think it ties into the CM Punk Roman stuff too. If Roman Reigns wins that belt on Saturday night, do you want to change it yet on Sunday? It all depends on what WWE has in the tank. Now, given that John Cena turned heel at the Elimination Chamber last year, I would imagine there is going to be a heel turn in this match, but I think they'll save it for the night. Now, allegedly, that was what we were going to do with John Cena. He was going to win 17 by going heel, and instead we started to do it at the Chamber for a moment, because we all love moments. So I think it's worth putting it all on the line and saying that Randy Orton could win. Now, what we do after that, I do not know. It probably means that Cody Rhodes isn't going to turn heel. That's obviously the counterpoint to this. Maybe it all turns out that WWE is finally, in my opinion, way too early, but let into a lot of the internet discussion. And the reason Cody Rhodes will continue on with that championship is because he does something terrible to Randy Orton. Maybe he boots him in the balls. Maybe he hits him with the title. Maybe he has a faction and somebody comes out and helps him. Who could it be? Grayson Waller. There you go. Everybody would hate that. Although we should do more with Grayson Waller. Very, very strange. But I'm still going to go with Randy Orton because I think there is something, because you could do it like this as well. And this is mad nerd booking, so you'll have to forgive me. But Randy Orton wins title number 15, then Cody beats him up. Maybe WrestleMania ends with Cody standing tall, but he's no longer the champion. I still think Randy Orton going heel would make it more interesting. But then again, Randy Orton's hit legacy status now. It's way easier to boo Cody Rhodes from a fan's point of view, especially for that type of fan, than it is Randy Orton, because Randy Orton's been around for 25 years. Again, been part of 20 WrestleMania, which is incredible. He's an all-timer. He's a legend, and it's hard to boo a legend unless you can come up with a good story. I really am 50-50 on this, which is another reason I do like the match. I think anybody else, you just know Cody was winning, but because it is Randy Orton. But as I woke up this morning and Randy Orton was the first person I thought of and why I stuck him on the thumbnail, I will say Randy Orton, but I do think something is going down here. I think something interesting, and that is why you could have Cody Rhodes win, but he turns heel, because then Randy Orton will be like, I want to get a backlash, you absolute Fruit Loop, and maybe that does set up WWE for a more interesting 2026. You're just going to have a really good reason. I think there will be time to turn Cody Rhodes heel, but you have to earn it. I think at the moment it wouldn't be earned, it would be listening to outside sources, which sometimes you should do. But it's much more fun to make a bold prediction. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Randy Orton does become the next WWE champion. Also, could be the last chance to him to get to number 15. Some people are like, Triple H will never do it, because they're both on 14 reigns. I'm pretty sure that's not going to stop somebody doing what's right for a storyline. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm going with Randy Orton, and I would say I'm 3% confident, which makes me an idiot. There you go, my friends. That is my prediction for every next WWE champion. I would love it if you could just send me yours in the comments below. Just do it like a line. So, Jay to this person, Liv to that person, Punk to that person. When you are down there, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Subscribing would be the best, and click the notification bell so you know when new videos are going live. Your reaction and the way you want to fix Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 42 is on the screen. I just read out your ideas. That's all I needed to do. Otherwise, it is grillermind.com/Simon. You go to Simon, get 10% off the best fitness supplements your money can buy. And it ships worldwide. Patreon.com/Simon316 to support me there. Otherwise, Simon316 to come call me a bald idiot on the internet. Then there's TikTok, there's Pro Wrestling Tees, and there is Cameo, as well as asking you to check out my Under the Mat interview series where I say stupid things and do funny interviews. At least I think they're funny. And if you hate it, you can tell me I'm a loser. That's okay. Have a lovely day, my friends. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.